Hey folks, it's Randy Wilburn here again with Zweig Group and the final session, session number 6 of Becoming a Better Recruiter. Wow, I can't believe we are already here. We started this odyssey at the end of the summer, and now here we are almost moving in. We're in the fall and almost moving into winter with the end of this session, session number 6. Really excited. So why don't we go ahead and get started right away with this last episode or webinar of Becoming a Better Recruiter. Just want to tell you a little bit about Zweig Group. We've been in business since 1988. We were recently rebranded as from Zweig White to Zweig Group in about 2014, I think. We are a management consulting and publishing firm which focuses solely in the architecture, engineering, planning, environmental consulting, and construction industry space exclusively. We come from your industry, so generally our advice is geared towards you specifically. We've 3 times been named to the Inc. 500 5000 list of fastest growing privately held firms, which we're certainly proud of. And I think that if nothing else, it just speaks to the fact that we don't just talk about this, but we actually put it into practice in our own business and have been successful because of that. We are here to make you more successful. That is our goal, period, end of story. That's been our mission statement since day one. And that's where we stand right now. Our goal is to help you both as an individual as well as to help your company succeed and grow. So today I want to talk a little bit about social media and mobile access to your firm before and after the hire. One of the things that we look at this whole social media and social mobility, and we talk about it and, what it means to be on Facebook and Twitter and Snapchat, which is the latest, greatest thing, Instagram, Pinterest. I mean, all of these portals that are out there and are accessible to you have viability in terms of the way that you do your work on a daily basis. And so we want to kind of talk a little bit about that and how, as a firm, you can get a handle on this whole social media space and, mobile recruiting and how you set yourselves up for success in that area. So the first thing we want to talk about, and I've kind of created this particular webinar a little differently because I've got several steps and points that I want to make with regard to the whole social media and mobile recruiting. The first point is simply that, number one, you want to use social media to share jobs and engage potential candidates. Now, the idea here with social media is that, the statistic there on that screen is that 74% of all internet users have at least one active social media account. You've got to figure out a way to share information about your firm to the world. You want to export your firm's culture via social media. Some firms out there are doing a great job of it. Some firms have kind of like dipped their toe into the water a little bit, but haven't fully committed to the endeavor of social media as it pertains to their business. And other firms are literally sitting on the sidelines doing absolutely nothing. And I really want to encourage you, if nothing else, is that you decide, if you are one of those firms that has done nothing or had created some plans and are surrounded around social media but have never really put them into action because you're just so busy. I get it. I totally understand it. I'm not telling you to go out and hire a brand or social media strategist tomorrow, but I am telling you to start really thinking long and hard about your company's brand, the image that you want to convey, and how you're going to get that information out there. If you're not intentional in this area, you will fail. Take my word for it. And so we really want to encourage every firm that's watching this and every individual that's, taking part in this Becoming a Better Recruiter webinar series to understand that this is one component, one tool in your tool belt that you need to make sure is active and make sure is online, no pun intended, and to make sure that you're constantly priming the pump in terms of sharing information, being transparent about your organization, and letting people know what makes your firm great. It is such an opportunity for your firm to get out in front of things when it comes to the firm reputation, when it comes to brand awareness about your company and what makes you special. And that people see this. They're looking at these videos. They're looking at these postings on Facebook. Maybe they have it on your Facebook fan page. I mean, you got to think about how people come to want to know more about your firm, especially when it comes to the hiring perspective. So really want to encourage you to be thinking long and hard about that and ways that you can make sure that your firm has more than just a Twitter account or a Facebook page or a Instagram account, that you are actively using these and that you have figured out the best ways to communicate the brand, your company brand, to the world, not just to people that you want to ultimately do business with, but also to people that may be looking for a place to hang their hat from an employment perspective. So I really want to encourage you to really start thinking about that and take stock of what you're currently doing from a social media perspective. This is another great statistic that I found, is that more than 30 million U.S. citizens now access the internet exclusively from mobile. That's huge. Everybody is using their phone. I carry this thing around with me all the time. The bottom line is that this is something that I can't live without. And I'll be honest with you. I can go without my laptop. I can go without my iPad, but I can't go without my phone. And that's kind of how we all are nowadays. And I know it's kind of sad to say, but it is what it is. And you have to embrace society for where we are with regard to communication and to this technology that's out there. So I really want you to be thinking long and hard about that no longer are you trying to capture eyes on a desktop computer like the one that I'm on right now doing this seminar. No longer are you trying to capture eyes through a video or commercial or something like that, but you are trying to reach people wherever they are, maybe sitting in the waiting room at the doctor's office, maybe, sitting in the line at lunch, maybe, going from one class to another if it's an entry-level person. The reality is that you've got to be where people are. And it's just, it isn't any simpler than that. One of the statistics that I want to share with you specifically as it pertains to social media and the like is that we have a Zweig Group Recruitment and Retention Survey, and this is from the 2016 version of that survey. And one of the things that we found out is that LinkedIn is the most popular recruiting site, with 71% of respondents reporting that they use it. So, I mean, as recruiters, we find a lot of people on LinkedIn. Obviously, we also find people on company websites. We call up firms. There's a lot of ways that people recruit. But the most important thing is to recognize where are most of these individuals. And 71% of the people that responded to the 2016 Zweig Group Recruitment and Retention Survey, you say that is the most popular recruiting site that they use, and that they are involved with it, and that they are actually on it themselves. That's a huge statistic when you look at how big the design industry is as a whole. So it's just something to think about as we move forward, and we'll have a few more quotes and statistics from this Zweig Group Recruitment and Retention Survey. If any of you, by the way, happen to watch this webinar in its entirety, and you want to take advantage of this particular survey, just email me, and we will give you special pricing for this survey so that you can take advantage of having this material for your organization as well. So just send me an email, and I'll include that information at the end of this webinar, and that will probably help you out and give you some additional information to arm yourself with as you make plans to budget for social media and mobile recruiting, and also just as you make plans from an HR perspective when it comes to hiring and understanding the different ways that you're going to find people, and what are the tools and methods that your peer firms are using in the industry for recruitment and retention. The next thing is that Indeed, Craigslist.org, Facebook, and Twitter were other online outlets used by firms. So it's not just LinkedIn. I mean, there's so many other programs out there. There's so many other websites out there that people can take part in. And so these are just a list of a few of them that we found out about, obviously through, we knew about these websites, but obviously we got further confirmation through the survey that these are indeed websites that people are using to help them with the recruitment process. So number two, in terms of leveraging social media and mobile access, and again, the idea is that this is both before the hire and after the hire. You want to be able to leverage that. The second thing you might want to do is make it easy to apply for jobs using a mobile device. Career Builder did a study on candidate behavior that says that 65% of job seekers said they will leave a website if it's not mobile optimized. I don't know about you, but I've been on sites where I've had to turn my phone one way and the other way to orient things, and for whatever reason, it just never quite worked out perfectly. And, you know, you get kind of frustrated having to scroll back and forth on your phone because the website is not mobile optimized. Now, some of you may be saying, Randy, what does that really mean? And the bottom line is that nowadays, web developers create websites that are perfectly created to show up on a device like this. And then they also create a version that would show up on your computer, on your laptop, or on your desktop. Then they'll even create a device that will show up on your Apple Watch. They'll create images that can show up on your iPad and show up proportionally when you're using that device. So what it means to be mobilely optimized or mobile responsive website is a website that adjusts to whatever device the end user who's on your site is using. And I can tell you right now, I've been to a lot of websites of design firms throughout the industry across the country, and not all of them are mobile optimized. Most people don't spend a lot of time on those websites because it's just really hard to navigate, especially when you're on a mobile device. So I really want to encourage you to talk to your webmaster and say, hey, is my website mobile optimized? And if so, great. The next thing is to think about, is the job application process on your site through your applicant tracking system, if you're using one, is that mobile optimized? And if not, you probably need to talk to your ATS supplier, which is an applicant tracking system, to have them help you out with that and have them walk you through ways to improve the user experience. I mean, there are people that's all their job is to improve user experience at some of these tech firms and some of these app firms. And so you want to make sure that anybody coming to your website, whether they want to find out about your company for the purposes of doing business with them, or whether they want to find out about your company because they ultimately want to work there, you want to make sure that they don't bounce off of your site because it's not properly optimized. And making sure that your site is mobile optimized and can be used on a mobile device is huge. And it's one of the first things that I would certainly take a look at. You can test it out yourself. You can ask others to test it out just to make sure that you're able to reach every audience that you hopefully want to reach with your website for a variety of reasons, both to gain work as well as to gain ultimately new employees. The other thing that I wanted to point out is that everybody has one of these phones nowadays. Even my mother, who's in her early 70s, has finally succumbed to the smartphone. I personally couldn't believe it when she called me and told me, and then I actually believed it when she first sent me a text, because of course, when your parents send you a text, there are misspellings and all this other stuff just because they're getting used to the technology. But she's a pro now, and I have to say that if a 70-plus-year-old mom or grandmother or grandfather or father can use a smartphone and use it for a variety of reasons, you better believe that this next generation of engineers and architects that are coming into the industry obviously know their way backwards and forwards on these phones. They can program them. They can create programs to use to get the most out of the phone. There are a million different things that these individuals are able to do with these phones. And as I say, I write most of my articles on my phone. Obviously, I correspond with clients. I correspond with potential candidates that I might be recruiting. There's pretty much nothing I can't do on this device. And so when you think of it from that perspective, you want to remove the hurdles that someone would have to take to have an interaction with your firm online. And the biggest hurdle is to make sure that your site is from a social media perspective, is mobilely optimized. So something to think about. There was a recent LinkedIn survey done not too long ago that said that 59% of candidates are using mobile phones to search for job openings, and 52% are using these digital devices to apply. So just put yourself into the shoes of someone that might be applying for a job on your website. And this is just a quick poll for everybody. Take a second to think about whether your site is set up to be able to, first of all, allow someone to search your site for all your job openings that are currently available. And number two, are they then able, if they see a position that they're interested in filling out a application for, are they able to apply online, or does it require them to go back to a desktop computer and then apply? This is, something, it seems so basic when you talk about it and when you say it out loud, but I would say most firms are not set up to allow individuals to be able to apply online right on their phone. A lot of reasons come up. One is, well, Randy, our application process is a bit long. It's a 2 or 3 page application. My advice would be is to figure out ways to streamline your paper application as well as your online application and have the two mirror each other. The simpler you can make the application, the better. Remember, you're just trying to get enough information to determine how you're going to move forward and to determine if this is someone that you're even remotely interested in pursuing. So it's incumbent upon you to make that part of the process as smooth as possible, and also so that it's not long and drawn out, because as much as it's great that we have these phones that we can use and access stuff with, we don't want to necessarily be typing on them for forever and a day. And if you make it hard for people, they'll just move and go to the next option or next site, because your site is not set up properly. So that's just some great information. Let's look at the third thing. You want to develop a database to connect with candidates even when openings do not exist. You shouldn't wait for an open job requisition before you start sourcing for candidates. Engage early and often. This is where social media comes into play. It may be that you're currently using Excel as a spreadsheet to keep track of potential candidates that you want to hire in the future, or maybe different hiring managers in your group are keeping a tickler file or a list with an office admin of potential candidates, or maybe they're just keeping business cards, old school, and just keeping business cards in their desk of individuals that they've run into. You know how this goes. You go to a planning meeting where there are a number of firms represented. You meet that bright young engineer or architect, and he or she just really blows you away by the soft skills that they represent in that meeting, their ability to communicate effectively, and you're just thinking to yourself, man, I would love to hire this person. Well, maybe now is not the right time. Maybe your firm is currently working on a project with their firm, so you have this unspoken hands-off rule. Regardless, you should stay in contact with that individual. Connect with them on LinkedIn if you can. Follow them on Twitter. Connect with them on Facebook if that's an option. I can't tell you the number of hires that Mark Zweig has made based on Facebook connections. You need to be able to use every tool at your disposal and not just think that, well, if they don't come through the website, we really can't pursue or talk with them. That is certainly not the case. And I want to encourage you today, if you do nothing else, that you really take time to build a database of everyone that you come in contact with that you think would be viable to work at your firm. Some of this stuff could be long term, but trust me when I say it, with the way technology is nowadays, with the way you can stay in touch with somebody from a social media perspective, even if it does take a year or two, you just engaging with somebody on a regular basis makes that conversation that much easier when another need arises in your department or in your group, and you know about that young, up and coming engineer or architect that you want to hire, and you've been staying in contact with him or her via social media. It's so much easier to reach out to them. So there are all kinds of programs out there that will help you keep track of the people that you're connecting with. But I mean, a simple database will do. You can use an Excel spreadsheet. You can use Evernote. If some of you don't know what Evernote is, I'll put a link to Evernote at the end of this presentation. I've got a special link that I'm going to share with you that will have a website page that you can go to and get a ton of information based on what we've shared in the last 6 episodes of this Becoming a Better Recruiter webinar series. Again, this is episode number 6. So this is our final one, but I certainly want to encourage you to take this information and utilize it. Don't just hear it and then let it go in one ear and out the other. Actually utilize this information, because it will help you and it will help your organization. The other thing you want to do in terms of leveraging social media and mobile access to your firm before and after the hire is to create a YouTube channel for information for employees. This is huge, and this is something that we don't see a lot of firms in the design space do, and I'm kind of surprised, to be honest with you, because so many of us are actually very creative. I mean, engineers are engineers, and I understand that, and they're very detailed. Architects are very creative. Some are very artistic. And I'm really surprised as I see and hear the stories about some of your amazing firms that you're not telling these stories more often in a setting where you can capture that information on film and then upload it to your YouTube channel. I mean, folks, you don't need to buy an expensive camera to do this. My new iPhone 7 actually shoots in 4K. It doesn't get any better than this. The video that I can shoot with this can rival a lot of the DSLRs that are out there. So don't use the excuse, well, we don't have the materials. If you've got a really good phone on you, even the iPhone 6s do really well. I mean, you've got 12 and 15 megapixel cameras, 4K video cameras. There's really no excuse for you not to be able to shoot short videos that capture the essence of what it's like to work at your firm. And again, these can be used for a multitude of purposes. Just again, you can create videos on firm culture. You can highlight some of the different things that your organization is doing. You can talk about some of the causes that really resonate with your employees, and each one of them has a story to tell. You can talk about obviously interesting projects that you're working on. I've used this quote over and over again. A lot of people know me for this quote, but it's a pitiful frog that doesn't praise his own pond. Make videos about your company and about what you guys are doing. YouTube, quietly as it's kept, is the biggest search engine out there. The YouTube search engine is bigger than the actual Google search engine. So keep that in mind. when you're out there wondering, well, how come nobody's talking about our firm or talking about us? You got to get out there. You got to start putting some videos out there. You got to start putting some information out there that would really resonate with folks. And no, you don't have to be Steven Spielberg or Ron Howard. You're not creating a Hollywood production. Yes, I do understand that there are certain things. Maybe if you want to create a brochure for the company, a video brochure, and you want to talk about the company, you may want to hire an outside firm to come in and do videos for you guys. But when you're talking about just basic interactions, I take videos of my colleagues. We'll take videos of different things that we do here in the office. And certainly we are encouraging our clients, and we're encouraging those of you that are participating in this webinar to think about ways that you could leverage videos and YouTube to the advantage of your company. Another way to do it is obviously for your marketing and business development efforts. You could create marketing and business development video brochures, talking about all the things that you did and all the things that you guys are continuing to do. And if you want, you can feature jobs via video. Maybe you're a big enough firm where you have a number of needs. You could create a jobs channel in your YouTube channel just to highlight all the different jobs that you have available. So each time you get a new job, and this is just a free example, you can have the HR manager or someone with a really good amount of charisma and personality to actually do the video for you, but talk about, hey, come on down to XYZ engineering or XYZ architecture. We just have a brand new position open. We've got a project engineer role open, and we're looking for someone with 2 to 5 years of experience. You can come here to sunny, and I'll just fill in the blank, Austin, Texas, and really do well at XYZ firm. We'd love to hear more from you. You can respond in the comments. You can also email us by visiting, fill in your email address and all that other stuff. But the bottom line is you can share that information via video and encourage participation by people that may not normally find out about you, but because of a certain job search that they're doing, and if they do it in Google and they type in certain keywords, right? Keywords attributable like engineer, maybe a specific city location, maybe a specific role or title. When they put that information in and they pump it up, if you are in there and you have put your video in there and tagged it properly and put the proper keywords in, you're going to come up when these individuals do their search. And so in addition to them maybe going to Indeed and filling out an application or going to Monster or some other site, when they're doing their basic Google search, because this is where people start for all searches, they go to Google, then that's where you will be able to benefit, because when they do the search, whether it's a short or long-term keyword, long-tail keyword, you're going to be able to generate some interest from these individuals, because they're going to be like, oh man, this firm's got a really cool video about a position that I'm actually looking for. I need to contact them and reach out to their HR person. So it's just something that we say, it's kind of like the low-hanging fruit. It's something that if you do it right, you can set it and forget it. And of course, those videos, you can swap them out. You can take one down. You can make it private so that nobody else sees it. If it's run its useful life, there are a lot of options that you have with regard to utilizing these videos for the purpose of growing your firm from a branding perspective when it comes to social media and mobile recruiting. So again, YouTube has over 1 billion users. Okay, there's almost 7 billion people in the world. 1 out of every 7 people in the world are on YouTube. So 1/3 of all the people on the internet watch hundreds of millions of hours of YouTube video. And, just to put it in perspective, Snapchat has almost, and a lot of you are like, well, what is Snapchat? Some of you know what Snapchat is. Some of you know about Snapchat because your kids use it. And it's, excuse me, it's a social media site that creates videos that only last for a short period of time and then they evaporate. But the bottom line is that everybody's using them. First, now there's the younger set, the Generation Z, the millennials are using Snapchat. And then other generations, my generation and some beyond my years, are starting to now use Snapchat. And, before you know it, when you start to see 55 and 60-year-old people using Snapchat and you haven't gotten involved with it, chances are you may have missed the boat. But we're still trying to work out the different ways that you could apply your firm or your brand to Snapchat. We're trying it here at Zweig Group, and we're having some success with it. And it's just another medium that you can consider. And again, remember this, every medium is not for every firm. I'm not suggesting that all of you go out and create all these different accounts with all these different social media programs. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is figure out who the audience is that you're trying to attract, both on the business development side as well as on the recruiting side. Figure out where they are and go there. If you find out that most of your people are in Facebook or on YouTube or on Instagram or whatever, then that's where you need to go. I'm just giving you an example of different ways that you can utilize this information. So YouTube is a great resource and a great way for you to continue to get the word out about your firm, and it works while you sleep, which is great. I mean, that's the beauty of it. It does work while you sleep. So keep that in mind as well. Now, number 5, you want to kind of create just-in-time resource guides for employees. Micro-learning is the new thing nowadays, and it gives new hires resources to refer to during and after the onboarding process. HR folks out there, this will make your life much easier. These just-in-time resources can include FAQs about the company, an industry glossary, employee benefits, etc. It doesn't matter. You can do a number of different things with these. And obviously these resources can be either video or written resources, but I would certainly utilize video and or audio to record some of this stuff and walk them through it. Wouldn't it be great to have the head of HR do an FAQ, or some of the leadership, some of the principals introduce themselves and say, hey, I'm Bob, I'm the COO here at XYZ Engineering, and we're so glad to have you join us. I want to talk to you today about fill in the blank topic. And then Bob talks about that topic. And then they go on to Sue, and Sue is the chief marketer of the company, and she's the CMO, and she introduces herself and talks about something else, and you keep going on from there. Once you've recorded these, you have them, and the only time that you ever have to change them is if you have to make changes within your organization, or you change some of the benefits or other programs that apply specifically to people that you're onboarding or bringing on as new employees. If that's not the case, then you could create something like this, and it could be good for 1 to 2 years, unless maybe somebody that was on the recording is no longer at the firm, and that would be a little awkward. So if Bob leaves for greener pastures or for whatever reason, you can obviously remove Bob and add somebody else to the process. So you certainly want to create some just-in-time resource guides for employees. I mean, micro-learning is huge. If you look at all of these different programs that are out there, that's why LinkedIn bought Lynda.com. If you look at Udemy and all these other online training programs, there's so much information available. There's no excuse nowadays for people not to learn new skills. And that's what I'm always telling people when they tell me they've kind of hit a rut with their job and they are not moving forward. They're hitting a ceiling. And a lot of times it's because they haven't taken the time to expand themselves and expand their horizons and to gain some more skills. And so that's the same process here that I'm describing, is that you want to encourage that within your organization, and you want to show your employees how you're using this information so that they can take advantage of it as well. A lot of your people are going to already know about this and know how to use it to their advantage, but a lot of them will not. And so you need to be fully aware of that and figure out how you address those issues when the time comes. Now, number 6, You want to try, when possible, to schedule interview sessions with senior leadership and subject matter experts. And I love this aspect of it. And examples of this can be found in the Life Hacker series, How I Work, and Reddit's Ask Me Anything. Everybody's heard of AMAs, or at least certain demographics have heard of AMAs, where like an individual or a movie star that's about to be in a new movie will do a Reddit Ask Me Anything, and they will go online, and for 30 minutes, people can log in and ask them anything. It can be a lot of fun. It can be interesting. So you can have the CEO of your company or another leader do an AMA with the employees. Maybe you guys do it through a brown bag lunch, and you record it, and then you have that memorialized so that you can share it with other people down the road. This is what you want to do to share this information. The other thing that you could do is How I Work, where you know, maybe the different team leaders or department managers talk about their department and how they do what they do, the people that work with them, the types of individuals that they're looking for to work in their particular department. These are all things that can be done through interview sessions with senior leadership and other subject matter experts within your firm. And in addition to these interviews, you'll be able to create residual materials that can be used with new employees to share insights on the firm. That's huge. You want to figure out ways to spread your firm's culture, and it's not going to be just about you pounding the desk and talking about why you guys are so great. You want to let your people do the talking. Why is your firm awesome? Why is it great to work here? What's it like when people take vacation or PTO or sick time, or what kind of holidays do we get? Anything, you name it. There are so many creative ways to tell the story of your company, and most of you guys out there are not utilizing the technology that's available for you to be able to do this and do it rather inexpensively. Again, I am not suggesting that you go out and hire a full-fledged video production crew. You may want to for certain items that you want to create, but for others, if it's going to be in-house stuff, look, this phone that I have next to me, it does just about anything I want it to do from a video perspective. So I kind of got everything that I need. And there's even some creative ways to attach a mic to your iPhone, a lavalier, the kind of mic that you hold, a handheld mic. It doesn't matter. You could put a boom mic. You could connect a boom mic to an iPhone. There's a lot of what I call trickeration when it comes to videos that you can institute and be successful with it, and it actually looks presentable, and it looks like something that you'll be proud of. These are just some of the things that I would encourage you to consider. The next thing is that number 7, with recently hired people can learn your company history through a scavenger hunt or other type of game that extends the company brand and corporate culture. So the scavenger hunt is kind of cool because you can do that across locations. A scavenger hunt is a really nice way for a new employee to onboard and learn more about the company, can learn more about the company history, can learn more about all the different things that the company has done to be successful, and what separates them from everybody else. Because again, I always tell firms that if your people can't describe or articulate the value add that your firm brings to the table, and they can't do it, succinctly in a short elevator pitch, well, you've missed your mark. You've missed your opportunity to be able to, expand the minds of these individuals that are working for you and working with you, and you've taken away their ability to be able to just in a moment's notice share something tangible about your firm that would separate you from some of your peer competitors out there. So a cool thing to do, especially when onboarding new people, is to consider a scavenger hunt. Now, you can do a scavenger hunt, whether you could do an in-person one where people go around a neighborhood or a town or a community or even an office if it's big enough and do a scavenger hunt, or you can do a digital scavenger hunt. And there are several examples online about how you create a digital scavenger hunt. Now, the scavenger hunt should include historical information about your organization, information about the people that work there, especially the leadership. Scavenger hunt should, should talk about the different services that you offer and then other unique information that makes you guys special. And again, it's important to accentuate these things so that people recognize that you guys aren't a bunch of automatons walking around, but that you are living, breathing flesh, and that you guys have an interesting story to tell. A lot of firms don't do that. And I want to encourage you that after this webinar series and after you've had a chance to watch this over again and maybe listen to it on a run or something like that, that you will then go ahead and start utilizing and implementing some of these ideas in your own organization and watch the change happen. Highly recommend that you think about that. So here's some things that I want you guys to do back at the office. We're about to wrap up, and it certainly has been my pleasure to participate in this Becoming a Better Recruiter series. I was just kind of thinking about that, but wow, I can't believe, again, it's been 6 sessions, but it's been a lot of fun. So let's talk about this. Here's a couple of things. First of all, what I want you to do is, from a social media and mobile recruiting perspective, I want you to make sure you have a consistent recruitment message across all of your firm's social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, blog posts, Snapchat, whatever you're using. Make sure you have a consistent message. Make sure that your logo is consistent across all of those different areas. Make sure that it's very abundantly clear who you are and what you guys are all about. The second thing I want you to do is I want you to create some residual marketing materials that complement your recruiting process: physical and virtual brochures, maybe a video of employees talking about experiences working at your firm, and you can create some cool swag to share with recruits. This is another thing that firms miss out on by giving people a bird's eye view of what it's like to work at your firm. So please take the time to create some of these residual marketing materials. They will help you out tremendously. Number 3, develop a clear story narrative to share with everyone that creates a consistent message about your firm and why working there is so great. If you have a firm of 50 people and I talk to 50 people and I get 50 different stories about your company, well, that's not always a good thing. I would highly recommend that you get everybody on the same page, that they all understand the elevator pitch. It's just like we do here at Zweig. You ask any one of us, what's your mission statement or motto? We exist to make our clients, both individually as well as corporately, more successful. That's it, period, end of story. And we endeavor to do that in every line of business that we operate in, and in every product or service or program that we offer here at Zweig Group. That is our focus. So really, make sure you have a clear narrative to share with everyone. Now, here, number 4. I want you to develop a story around the prototypical perfect employee. We call it an avatar. There are a couple of other different words for it, but you want to create, a story behind this individual. Why do they succeed in your environment? What do they do? Where are they going? Promotion, opportunities, etc. One of the biggest things that we hear when we recruit people at Zweig is that candidates that we recruit tell us a lot of times why they will even remotely consider going someplace else is because they haven't been shown a clear path for promotion or shown what things could be like at their firm in 3 to 5 years. And it's really, really important that you create this information for them and help your employees understand what the possibilities are and where they can ultimately go. Because if they see a ceiling, they're going to leave there as quickly as they can. Number 5, you want to find someone on staff who can manage the social media process, and they can develop an editorial calendar for when you're going to send in. I'm not talking about just a tweet here and a tweet there casually. I'm talking about having a plan for how you disseminate information about your firm from a social media perspective. You have to have an editorial calendar and abide by it. It will keep your sanity and it will help you to do things smoothly. And then you also want to really push for the development of new material to push out to the market via social media. pull some of those new employees that you have, especially the young people in your office, about participating in social media, about sharing information out. Everybody in your company should be pushing out anything that you do on social media. As an organization, they should be pushing it out. Again, it gets back to what I said. If you're not proud of the pond that you're in, you need to find a new pond. But if you are proud of that pond, then you need to yell to the rooftops why it's so great to work at your firm. And a lot of companies are just not doing that. They maybe do it a little bit, but they don't do it enough. And if it's a challenge to get your people involved with it, then you may have bigger issues to deal with than that. But I can tell you that anytime anybody in my team, anybody in my group, anybody in the company does anything amazing here at Zweig, I'm the first to share it on social media. I push it out there for everybody to see because I'm proud of where I work, and I genuinely enjoy the people that I work with. And so should you. Life is too short to be working at a place that you really don't enjoy. And that's really a story for another day, but it just brings back the point that you want to make sure that all of your people are actively sharing their experience on social media. Sometimes I can go the other way, just ask people on Glassdoor that have really bad reviews. But again, it just, you have to get ahead of that and figure out ways to right the ship if your company is having problems in this area. And then finally, develop mobile optimized landing pages for all of your open positions. And this is key. Make sure that those landing pages can be shared. This is a huge thing that will really help you to get the word out about all of the positions that your company has available. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention that to you and didn't encourage you to get that set up. So really want to encourage you to kind of go over those things and think about them. And again, you'll have access to this PowerPoint and all the information that we're sharing with you even after this webinar. So it's not like it's going to go away anytime soon. So if you have any Q&A or questions, I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you have. It was kind of cool that we were actually able to do this live today because we've had some DSL or cable issues in the past, and I think they've been fixed. You can also post your questions online on Twitter using the hashtags Zweig Group or hashtag BBR webinar, and we will respond to all questions. So let us know what questions you have, and we'll get back to you right away and answer those questions. And of course, you'll be able to access me as well with that. I've created a tip sheet for you. This is the website that you can go to. It's just bit.ly/ZGBBR tips. Stands for Zweig Group Becoming a Better Recruiter Tips. And you can get that. That's a site that I created. You can go to it, and that page will continuously be updated. I will not take it down. So that's something that you will have access to. And then, of course, I would love it if you would take part in this employer survey that we're doing. It's just for some new information in terms of changes in the marketplace with regard to how we hire people, and especially for firms out there that use contract labor. I'd love to hear from you, but if you could just take part in this short employer survey, we've got a free gift for you if you complete that. So I want to thank you in advance for doing that. And then up next, this is very important. The Becoming a Better Recruiter webinar series was free, F-R-E-E. Each episode was free. The first one, the second one, third one, fourth one, fifth one, sixth one. Now, if you've completed any or all of these BBR sessions, please reach out to learn how you can get your continuing education units for completing these webinars. There is a fee involved with the CEUs, but let's face it, all of us could use some extra CEUs, and the total number of CEUs available for participation in BBR is 6. So if you did all 6 hours, you could get up to 6 CEUs for participation in the Becoming a Better Recruiter webinar series. But please email me rwilburn@zweiggroup.com, and I'll get back to you right away, and I'll send you the instructions on what to do next, and we'll be more than happy to take care of you, get you your diploma, and make sure that you get your continuing education units for participating in this webinar or any of the other webinars that you participated in. So I really want to thank you. And then just as a reminder, this was what we went over. We did recruiting and hiring the best talent. That's an overview. We did recruiting, relationships, and marketing. We did making your firm a great place to work. We did a session on knowing your numbers, recruiting key performance indicators. We did a session on successful interviews and even better offers. And we did social media and mobile recruiting, which is today. So we've covered all 6 areas that we're going to cover in this session. There's more information that's available. And just so you know, Becoming a Better Recruiter is available as a one-day seminar at your firm. If you want to bring us in to do that, we'll be more than happy to make arrangements. We do a ton of in-house seminars throughout the year. It is certainly something that is available to any and everyone that wants to participate in this. And even if a couple of firms want to come together and piggyback on the cost, that's an option too, although it's always better if we do it one-on-one, because then that way if I come, I can work together with you guys and kind of work on a strategy and a plan. And by the time I leave and head to the airport, we'll be able to we'll be able to get you guys set off on the right path. So really excited about that. And finally, you can continue this discussion. I want to thank you guys so much for coming back each time and participating in the Becoming a Better Recruiter webinar series. You can continue the discussion about recruitment and retention online. You can use the hashtags BBR webinar and hashtag Zweig Group. We will respond to anything posted on social media on this topic. Again, I'm your presenter, Randy Wilburn. I'm the Director of Executive Search here at Zweig Group. My number's there. You can reach me anytime on that number. You can always reach me via email at rwilburn@zweiggroup.com. And you can check us out. You can reach us on Twitter. Reach me on Twitter at Randy Wilburn or at Zweig Group. You can like us on Facebook. We'd love to hear from you. But again, I really appreciate you guys taking part in this, and I want to thank you for doing these 6 sessions for Becoming a Better Recruiter. And if this is your first session, go back and take the other 5. Trust me, you will be richly rewarded